Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Right off the bat, two things. Number one, Liberty Toddler is behind the camera again today in the studio watching some cartoons on YouTube Kids. Hopefully we can't hear it. And the second thing is this video is brought to you by Blackout Coffee Company, the pro Second Amendment coffee roaster that gets me through my day every day. They have amazing coffee, tea, and hot chocolate, support channels like mine, and even help support your Second Amendment rights through their partner roasts with GOA and FPC. So to get a cup of coffee or tea or hot chocolate that you can be proud of and a one-time 20% discount, use code LibertyDoll at blackoutcoffee.com/LibertyDoll. So, disclaimer, I wrote this video on Monday and had big plans to try to film it and getting it out to you guys as soon as possible, but unfortunately, #MomLife, the toddler had other plans. Oh, please don't climb on the desk. Thank you. Good job. But it's still a pretty big story and I'm not going to let that time go to waste. So, the big news on Monday/Sunday night is that despite repeatedly promising he wouldn't, Joe Biden pardoned his son Hunter on everything. Gun charges, tax charges, and gave him immunity on pretty much anything and everything he did since 2014, including influence peddling. The short version is this is a big deal. There's some speculation of what this could mean for certain gun charges, as Joe Biden's major argument is that people don't ever get punished for the same crimes Hunter committed, which is wrong, and that they shouldn't be punished. Now, for anyone who doesn't remember the exact details here, Hunter Biden bought a revolver from a Delaware gun shop while actively addicted to crack, lied on the 4473 saying he wasn't a drug user, and then his lover/dead brother's wife took it and threw it in a trash can outside a grocery store 11 days later. We have also seen from the laptop photos and videos of him actively using drugs while brandishing a gun. I say a gun because I believe it was not the same gun. He was charged with 3 felonies over this: lying to an FFL, making a false claim on his 4473, and illegally possessing the gun. He was offered a sweetheart deal at one point. The judge in the case rejected because it was so outlandish, and ultimately he was convicted of all 3 gun charges. He could have faced up to 25 years in prison for those. He was also facing tax evasion charges. He allegedly hid a ton of money from the IRS, on top of selling access to his dad when Biden was VP. We've all heard about that. And now he will face nothing because Biden issued a blanket pardon that is full and unconditional for all offenses he committed or may have committed from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st of this year. This is the biggest, most sweeping pardon in U.S. history, and the immunity from any current or future allegations of influence peddling also mimic the plea deal that was rejected by the judge. It's also the first time a president has ever pardoned his son, but really, at this point, what does Biden have to lose? He's out of the White House in 2 months, and his party lost the election. That's all he's got. Hello. Oh, please don't pull on that. Oh no, please don't pull that. Mama needs that. Yeah. Yeah, I do need that. Thank you, lady. Okay. Joe Biden also complained that this whole thing was all politically motivated, which is both ironic and ridiculous. Biden's statement is laughable at best. He wrote, "From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions, but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties, are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently." Now again, Biden accusing other people of targeting folks over politics is hilariously ironic. But he's also flat out wrong. Several hundred people are charged with lying on their 4473s every year. Just last January, the ATF released a statement that they were going to go after people lying on their 4473s even more aggressively, seeking sentences of at least 10 years in prison. The press release included 7 recent cases that the DOJ prosecuted for exactly that. Keeping guns out of the hands of those who shouldn't have them is of paramount concern, said U.S. Attorney Robert J. Troster. We will use the tools available to us to pursue those who use a straw purchaser or lie when trying to buy a gun. We will continue to work closely with ATF and our law enforcement partners to prevent guns from falling into the wrong hands by holding accountable those who lie to get them. And is this not a classic case of someone lying on their 4473 to get a gun that they have no business having? Isn't this a perfect example of a gun ending up in the wrong hands? GOA did a little digging themselves and found that 96.9% of Americans that face the same charges as Hunter Biden get jail time with an average sentence of 60 months, and that figure is directly from the U.S. Department of Sentencing, Joe Biden's own government. But he says people rarely face jail time or even trials for this. The only thing that really sets Hunter Biden apart from the average person in this situation is the fact that he is Hunter Biden and can pay for the lawyers and is offered sweetheart deals and has a daddy that's willing to pardon him. The average person does not have those resources available to them. Now, with Joe Biden's statement, is this going to change as far as people getting prosecuted or targeted or going to trial over these gun charges? I doubt it. Some people are saying that this sets a precedence now to say that people shouldn't face these charges anymore, but I really doubt that you can bring up a presidential pardon as precedence in court, especially when that pardon was given to the president's son. Then again, I am not a lawyer. I have never claimed to be a lawyer, though for some reason some of you people think that I'm a lawyer, and I don't know whether to be flattered or insulted and disturbed. But I am not a lawyer, so maybe I am wrong. Maybe this will set some kind of precedent, but seeing as it's not a court case, and in the actual trial he was convicted, I don't really see how that concretely plays to our side in any way. But again, I'm not a lawyer. What do I know? And don't even get me started on how Joe Biden is saying that Hunter deserves the pardon because he only committed his crimes because of drugs. The prison system is full of people who committed crimes while under the influence of drugs and addiction. And Joe Biden has made no effort to get them out of there. The charges in his cases came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Then a carefully negotiated plea deal agreed to by the Department of Justice. Oh, that's kind of like when the government investigates itself. Oh, the government is offering a plea deal to itself. Why on earth would people be against that? So the carefully negotiated plea deal agreed to by the Department of Justice unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been a fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's cases. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son. And that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop there. Enough is enough, Biden wrote. I'm sorry, Mr. President, but no reasonable person would look at this pardon and come to any other conclusion than that you are using your weight and your influence to help your son. Then he goes on a little bit about the importance of telling Americans the truth, which is, again, also hilarious because he's been saying over and over he would never pardon his son, but then apparently, according to NBC, has been talking about it for months in private, decided to lie about it, then just did it, and also, well, he's Joe Biden. I'd say that at least 75% of the stuff coming out of his mouth is a lie. And how about all the times that Biden said that no one is above the law? Could it be that people wanted to be sure that this exact situation didn't play out and that Hunter got away with crimes that hundreds of Americans get nailed to the wall over? Could that be it? Could it be that people were so adamant that he go to trial and face his charges because normally the president's son wouldn't? But according to Hunter, he admitted his mistakes and took responsibility, aside from not being sentenced like every other American in this situation would be. And so, according to him and his father, that's good enough. If only it was so simple for everyone else. Biden was set to be sentenced on both the tax and gun charges in just a couple of weeks. Altogether, he faced up to 42 years in prison. Daddy Joe had originally sworn up and down that he would respect the outcome, and obviously he did not. And now, just for funsies, here's a little compilation of Karine Jean-Pierre saying a pardon was off the table.
Second one, would the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear, and I said no.
Okay. We go back to the first question of the briefing. I know you said not a lot's changed since yesterday and that it's a personal matter, but from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
You've also said several times that the president would not pardon or commute the sentences for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
For what it's worth, even Democrats are asking, what the hell? Some are even calling for constitutional amendments to put checks on pardoning powers. And we'll see how that goes. There is, of course, also speculation that Trump will now come into office and have a pardon party, even though he probably would have done that anyways. But one thing is for sure is he promised the libertarians that he was going to pardon Ross Ulbricht, and so he better do that. All right, and the tiny human has found my D&D dice over there, so those are about to get launched all over the room. So I'm gonna wrap it. You guys know the drill for all of the Aldrin things. Please do them, and as always, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there and happy shooting.